and welcome to Wellness Unplugged, the podcast where we talk about the real, raw, and often controversial topics around mental health and well-being. I'm Lesley, your host, and today we're diving into a feeling that most of us experience, often without questioning why: nostalgia. You know, it's that warm, fuzzy feeling that creeps up on you unexpectedly when you hear a song from your teenage years, catch the scent of your grandmother's cooking, or stumble across an old photo album. But nostalgia isn't just sentimental fluff. It's a powerful psychological tool, and when we understand it, we can learn how to use it to fuel healing, resilience, and even identity formation. So today we're unpacking the hidden psychology behind nostalgia. We'll explore what it is, why we experience it, and what it does to our brains and our emotions, and how we can conscientiously use it to enhance our wellness without ever getting stuck in the past. Let's dig in. Nostalgia was once viewed as a mental illness, quite literally. Coined in the 17th century by a Swiss physician, it was considered a type of homesickness that affected soldiers. Fast forward to modern psychology, and we now understand nostalgia as a self-regulatory emotion, meaning it's your brain's way of managing mood, identity, and even existential stress. When we feel nostalgic, the limbic system in our brain, particularly the amygdala and hippocampus, lights up. These regions are responsible for memory and emotional processing. What's interesting is that nostalgic memories activate both positive and negative feelings simultaneously. We feel a sweet sadness, a kind of bittersweet joy. And this duality is what gives nostalgia its emotional depth. Nostalgia is closely tied to our sense of self, what psychologists call the autobiographical self. It reinforces the idea of continuity, reminding us that we've existed over time, that we've lived and learnt and grown. It stitches our past to our present in a way that reassures us. I've survived, I've mattered, I've loved, and I have been loved. From a psychological lens, nostalgia often shows up in moments of uncertainty, stress, or change. It's not a coincidence that we feel more nostalgic when we're going through life's transitions, like moving to a new town, ending a relationship, or even during a national or global upheaval. Remember pandemic lockdowns? This is because nostalgia has an adaptive value. It gives us our emotional grounding. When life feels unstable, nostalgic memories remind us of who we were, which can be very reassuring when we're not sure of who we are becoming. In fact, a study published in the Psychological Science found that nostalgia literally increases our tolerance for discomfort. Participants who reflected on nostalgic memories were able to withstand more physical pain than those who didn't. Why? Because nostalgia reconnects us with meaning. It reaffirms our identity and reminds us that we've been resilient before, and so we can be resilient again. But here's where the psychology gets really fascinating. Nostalgia also stimulates dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, and can help offset cortisol, our primary stress hormone. That's why reminiscing often feels so comforting. It's not just emotional soothing. It's an actual biochemical calming agent. As with many psychological processes, nostalgia can become maladaptive. That's when we overindulge or use it to avoid the present. If you find yourself constantly longing for the good old days, there may be an unresolved grief, a stagnation or even depression beneath the surface. This is particularly relevant in ambiguous grief, the grief for what was or what might have been. It's the kind of grief that doesn't always have a clear loss attached. Think of people mourning a life stage that's ended, a version of themselves they no longer recognize, or relationships that fade with time. In such cases, nostalgia can serve as a kind of emotional avoidance. Rather than engaging with the difficult emotions of now, we retreat to the past for safety. This becomes especially dangerous when nostalgia turns into rumination, a cycle of thoughts that trap us in what we've lost rather than what we can still create. So, how do we keep nostalgia healthy? Well, the key is to approach it with a conscious curiosity, not just passive yearning. Here are some practical ways to do it. Number 1, journal your nostalgic moments. When you feel nostalgic, don't just indulge in the emotion. Analyze it. Write it down. What triggered it? How it made you feel? And what the memory says about your value, identity, or unmet needs. This creates an emotional insight, not just pure sentimentality. Number 2, mine your memories for meaning. Look back with the intention of finding patterns of strength. When did you overcome something? Who were your safe people? What did you value that you might be missing now? Read it. Create intentional traditions. If nostalgia highlights what you've lost, it might be time to build something new. Start a ritual that gives you something to look forward to. This allows you to engage with the present while honoring the emotional needs your nostalgic memories are pointing to. Number 4, connect, don't isolate. Nostalgia is often social. If you're remembering someone or something fondly, reach out, share the memory, tell the story. It strengthens relationships and reinforces the brain's social bonding circuits, which is incredibly powerful for our emotional resilience. We can't live in the past, but we can learn from it. And nostalgia, when approached mindfully, is one of the most therapeutic invitations your brain can offer. It's a signal. It says, there's something here that mattered, something worth bringing forward again. Maybe it's time to revisit that creative version of yourself, the one you abandoned, or that deep connection you miss, or that joyful, silly side you've suppressed. Nostalgia tells us, you were whole once, but it doesn't mean you can't be whole again. So next time you find yourself staring off, heart full of the past, don't turn away. Ask yourself, what's this memory trying to tell me about what I need today? To recap, nostalgia is not a weakness, it's wisdom. It helps us to self-soothe, reconnect, and remember who we are when the world feels unsteady. But we have to choose whether we'll use it as a stepping stone or a crutch. If this episode resonated with you, or if you'd like to share your own nostalgic story, I'd love to hear from you. You can connect with me via my email, info@lesleyharvey.co.za. And before we close, here's a quote to just sit with. Nostalgia is not about the past. It's about what the past says we're longing for in the present. Thank you so much for joining me on Wellness Unplugged. Until next time, unplug, recharge, and remember, your wellness matters more than you think.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.